Hi, welcome to another Digital Jamaica live show.
Yay, good morning, Mo. How you doing?
I am doing well. How about you?
I'm good. I'm excited about today's show because we have some interesting people that
Yes, and
are going to be on.
we'll have some buzzy topics as well that I think that
Yes.
the community will be very excited to hear about it.
Yes. I think so too. So if you're listening or watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, or on Twitter, welcome to another Digital Jamaica live show. I'm your host, Katie Francis.
And I'm your other host, Monique McIntosh.
Yes, you're always singing, always excited about Monique McIntosh. Now, coming up on the show, we have our tech word of the day, which we have already put out there, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
our trivia question in our tech news segment. We're talking about the Trans Jamaica Highway and how it's going digital, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to be accepting credit cards, they're going to be accepting digital wallets. I wonder if
Yeah.
they're also going to be accepting the digital currency when it comes on board.
Wait till we reach.
Wait to
Wait
reach
till we're
there.
talking about it. Yes.
All right, we're gonna also be talking about the Portum, which is a tracking app that the government is considering using for, well, it's a COVID tracking app that the government is considering using it,
Yeah.
and Shaggy, Mr. Robo Robo.
Mr. Bombastic. Commission
He
Bombastic.
launches a new show on Sirius XM in July, and we are super excited to talk about that. Now, Monique, we have a new segment,
Yes.
and it's called The Take.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we look at really what's going on in the social media space. What are the conversations happening there? And then we're giving you our take on
Yeah.
what's going on over there. And joining us for the take is Karen Rose.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to be talking to us about Clubhouse. What happened? What happened to Clubhouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, why the platform fell off. I mean,
It
downloads
was it.
plummeting.
Yeah.
People are talking about the conversations being boring, and people just there talking about themselves, and they're like, "We didn't come for you. We're all the celebrities and the big tech people that could give me advice to save my life in my
Yeah.
business. They're
Yeah.
gone."
Yeah.
And then Twitter Spaces just came on the scene, mashing up the place. And there are other alternatives that Karen is going to talk to us about as well.
Yes, and on technically speaking, we're talking to three absolutely amazing Jamaican founders who, in their own way, are
Mhm.
changing the ways that we think about health. We
Right.
have Douglas K. Gordon, who is the CEO of Silo Wellness and the founder of CanXJA. Big things. We have Ingrid Riley, who is literally tech guru, tech genius, everything about tech in Jamaica and the Caribbean. You think of Ingrid, and she's also the publisher of the Sun, Sea, and Sensi blog. And we also have Dr. Chet Bowen, who is the president, CEO, and CMO of MD Link. And I've
Have you
actually
ever?
used MD
I
Link
was just about to
before.
ask if you've ever used
Yes,
MD Link. I've used it. I've used it, and I must say it was very
yes.
efficient.
It was very easy
Very
to
efficient.
use.
Yeah.
It was for my mom. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. So, guys, we want to hear from you in real time. Add your comments in the chat, and the ones that we find like interesting, our favorite ones, are going to be featured on the stream.
Yes. All right, guys, and well, we can't do anything without shouting out our sponsor,
Yes.
G5 Cyber Security, protecting businesses and families online. Visit, okay, www.g5cybersecurity.com to assess your company's network for security vulnerabilities and to see if you comply with the Jamaica Data Protection Act, because that's important. Yeah,
Absolutely.
cybersecurity we're talking about because some mess has been going on with cybersecurity. So definitely check out G5 and get your security in check. And now, Monique, it's time for today's word of the day and trivia question.
Awesome. So today's word of the day is M Health. Now, M Health stands for mobile health. So commonly refers to as M Health. This discipline focuses on obtaining information so that we can help to diagnose illnesses, track diseases, as well as provide timely information to the public. Now, M Health is particularly used in areas where doctors and nurses may be not as readily available. They
Mhm.
also may not be physically present to provide treatment to their patients. So, M Health is a subset of telehealth. So, that's the broader umbrella, which is where we're talking about using digital technologies, communication technologies like computers and your mobile devices to help persons actually access healthcare remotely and help to manage your entire health experience. So, you guys know that our trivia question of the day is always related to our word of the day. And so, today's tech trivia question is, which company invented the first mobile EKG heart rate monitor and what was it used for? Which company invented the first mobile EKG heart rate monitor and what was it used for? Now, your answers have been rolling in on our social media. I still have my pen, I still have paper. You can still comment and throw your hat in the ring. I got my social media people here. And the lucky winner for today's session is going to win a $5,000 gift card courtesy of Gift Me. No, listen, I wish I could have win that because the people I see on there, Adam and Eve, and oh, I was like,
Some really good so Give Me has over 40 plus local
yes.
businesses on their platform, so you can redeem that $5,000 gift card at Adam and Eve, Chocolate Dreams,
I think I saw
Island.
totally male, and I was
Yes,
just
the
like,
face play. So you can go
mm.
get yourself a nice little facial or something going on
Yeah,
there, for sure, for sure, for sure. Monique,
yes,
let's run through quickly our new segment because we have Karen Rose in the building and he's going to
awesome.
be talking to us about Clubhouse.
Okay, so first things first, we're talking about Trans Jamaican Highway. Now they're considering, and at this point, it's still considering adding new payment options at their toll booths to include credit and debit cards as well as digital currency. Now, this is coming off of the heels. Last year, they faced a 15% decrease in revenue compared to 2019, and
Mhm.
it's just now after how many years in existence that they're exploring actually enabling persons to use credit and debit cards. And
Yeah,
the conversation is still limited because they're saying this is going to be for their tag only section where you'd already be swiping or, there's an automatic
yeah.
sensor or whatever. Now, the conversation about the digital currency is specific around the e-wallet digital currency because Trans Jamaican Highways are part of the pilot project being done by
With
the
the
Bank of
BOJ.
Jamaica. Yes, that's related to their central bank digital currency, the CBDC. So it
Okay.
absolutely will be the CBDC because they're already a part of that sandbank. Uh, to be, it just kind of take long, but and they're earmarking it for 2022, I believe,
So
October.
that's next year.
I'm
That's
like,
late next year.
it take you a year for get some card machine, like
Ah, God,
it it
listen.
it I mean, I understand for the central bank digital currency, but to start with taking credit and debit card, man, it's not so hard. Like we make
I
things a
think
little
I think
harder
maybe
than it.
what it is the amount of time it will take in the line. It may hold up the line. Maybe that's why they say cash because you can just come give cash the thing and go.
No,
Stopping to take credit
no.
and debit card may have a longer turnaround time in terms of processing, and that may cause a problem. I think they're just trying to get people through the toll as quickly as possible. That's the only thing I can think of that would make any sense for why there's a
No,
delay.
no,
Okay.
because you have human errors and you have cash sticking together and all of that. So me not buy that.
Cash sticking
Anyways, moving on to
together.
the
What
next
you doing with
story.
your cash? Why
Kadia?
sticking together? Okay. So the government
No,
of
when the
Jamaica.
money new.
Okay. All right. So government consider the use of the COVID tracking app Portum. I don't know. Is it that they're switching to Portum from Jam? Was it what is Jam COVID? Was that the name of the app? Anyways,
Jam COVID.
the
It,
Portum app was developed to identify persons who have contracted COVID-19 and their contacts, and is being considered as the government
yes.
makes plans to reopen the local entertainment sector. So you know the Honorable Brogard come out and set things. You know, he has been saying that listen, the place needs to open up back and entertainment, and this is of course after the big uproar and the other day with the whole chocolate thing down a country thing place. And people got getting very upset because you know even promoters and stuff are having to fly out to go to Miami and places like that so they can
Yes,
actually you know
yes.
have events so they can make money. This is how they
Earn.
make money. Yeah.
Yeah,
The app can
yeah.
be used to help establish geofenced safe zones where the app anonymously tracks how close persons get to each other while logging vaccination
Yes.
and testing individuals. So I want to know when they get close to each other, the app's going to say too close, back up. I don't know. I don't know. Portal representatives assure that personal information will not be shared, but where have we heard claims like that before? Mhm. Okay,
Mm,
so they've also added
mm.
that the Ministry of National Security was taking steps to perform a security audit on the technology behind the app and that they have undergone independent vetting by digital security services. And yeah, so it's not a given that the government is going to be using it, but they're certainly testing to see if it works. And
Yeah.
listen, I am not against the government trying out new things to see what will work because truth be told, we need to free up.
We
I'm
need.
sorry, I was one of those persons going, no, you need to stay inside them. But it does have a psychological effect on you after a while. You're
Yeah.
always inside, and then the curfew at this time, it has seriously hampered a lot of people in many ways. So I'm glad that we're now thinking about, reopening. Yeah, I think curfew is now going to extend to 11 o'clock during the weekdays and on Saturday, and then 6 o'clock on Sunday. So slowly but surely we're opening back up, and that's always a good thing. So the Portum app is already available on the Android Play Store and on the App Store. So it's not
Yeah.
new. Yeah.
No, it's not new. It's not new at all, but it would be new to us.
To us.
I mean, I see their attempts to, show that we're being responsible. So let's see. Let's give it a try.
For sure.
And last but by no means least, Mr. Bombastic himself, Shaggy, launches or is set to launch a brand new show on Sirius XM on July 4th, America's Independence Day. Shaggy will be launching a new show called Shaggy's Yard. And these are his words. Shaggy's Yard gives me the opportunity to take listeners on a cultural journey and showcase the musical history of Jamaica. I can't wait for listeners to join me as I play a wide range of music, including beloved favorites as well as some unexpected surprises. Now, Sirius XM, you have to understand how big of a deal this is.
Yes,
This
Sirius
is
is a big platform.
this is the biggest audio entertainment company in North America, not just US and Canada, reaching over 150 million listeners
Yeah.
across multiple digital audio platforms. They do music, they do sports, they do talk, they do podcasts. So everything audio, they dominate. And they
Yeah.
have the largest reach of any digital audio provider in North America, full stop,
Full
right?
stop, period. Yeah, so
And
it is Sirius XM is a big deal, and once you have a program on Sirius XM, you've arrived. Okay, but then
yes,
Shaggy is a big deal.
already
Shaggy is one of our
arrived.
most successful, reggae artists. So it's
Yes.
I guess it's a natural progression. I'd be interested to hear what his musical repertoire is
Yes,
like. But
sounds
I have a
like.
feeling that Shaggy have good taste in music, so it should be fun. It should be fun. But Karen Rose is here with us. Karen, are you ready? Karen Rose is here with us, and he is going to be talking to us about. Karen, what's going on? You look like you're sick. Everything is good.
Karen never go to the barber last week, and so he is a bushman.
Karen, how you doing? How
Barber
you doing?
shop closed. It can't go nowhere. Everything locked down.
All right. So Karen, I saw your post yesterday on LinkedIn, and you were talking about Clubhouse, and
Yeah.
I posted something similar about Clubhouse last week on Twitter because I came across a video from one of my favorite content creators, Kimberly Foster from For Harriet, and she was talking about like what happened to Clubhouse. Clubhouse has literally fallen off. I mean, when they started out, Clubhouse was having like millions of downloads per month. I think
Yeah.
one point it was up to 90 odd million downloads. I know they're down to like not a lot in the hundreds of thousands, but still not as much as it used to be. And then one of the biggest complaints is that it's boring. The big celebrities and the big tech people that were there and was in your rooms and dishing advice, they're gone. So now you're left with people just talking random
Trying
stuff
to
about
build their
themselves.
clubhouse.
So Karen, why do you think Clubhouse has kind of fallen off? And do you think a part of that is because Twitter Spaces? Because I think Twitter Spaces is a big part of it.
I think there's a lot of reasons for the drop off. I don't think so. Why Clubhouse was popular to begin with was it made sense. The timing was perfect. It made sense.
Yes.
It was audio only. So it was a nice way to connect where you didn't have to do much to get started with Clubhouse. You create your room. You could be in your boxers and a wife beater and relax and talk to people, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have to doll up for video and come out here with a hoodie to hide your scruffy looking self. You could have just shown up on Clubhouse as you were, right?
Yeah.
And then there was the curiosity factor. Then it was Apple only, so there was a whole system to even get involved. Exclusiveness. So there was a lot of factors that I thought brought out the curiosity in it. Because I myself, I don't have an iPhone, but I have an iPad. So I was, trying to see how best I could do and if it worked on iPad. And then when I got the invite, I think I was probably active maybe for about 3 weeks, because what you quickly realize is that communication amongst human beings can be terrible if it's not controlled.
Yeah.
And not everybody can be a good moderator to moderate a room effectively, right? So I think one of the big issues to start with was you have these rooms opening up and everybody would take their moment as their 15 minutes of fame.
Yikes.
And never get to the point of what they even raised their hand to speak about. So there was a lot of filler. To me, it was 95% filler and 5% gems.
Gold.
But who has 2 hours to waste listening to something that you're not getting no value from? I would much rather go and listen to somebody's podcast, because when someone's podcasting, they have their points that they're going to hit and they're going to get to it. And you could put it on speed 1.5, 2x. You could speed up, right? You could speed up. Listen,
you can pause and fast forward.
The greatest thing WhatsApp did was give us the speed up feature for voice notes, right? And that just goes to show you that we want information quick. We don't want to have to wait for the information. So to me, that was the biggest, because before we could even get to monetization and using it to build your brand, I was already gone. I wasn't even waiting to hear about monetization.
Yeah.
There was just so many other platforms you could get information from the same people in a much more efficient manner.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that Kimberly was talking about. She's like, what they were trying to do was they were trying to be too exclusive, which probably not the best way to go on a social media platform, especially when you're just starting out. And then they were catering to the wrong people, because her thing was that the white audience was really who they were catering to, and then there was an influx of black people, and then the white people were like, "Oh no, exit!" And that that was one of the reasons that happened. And she's saying too that they didn't give persons a lot of opportunity to monetize, and that was another issue. But let's look at some of the alternatives quickly, Karen, to Clubhouse, because Twitter Spaces came on the scene, and I think one of the reasons why Twitter Spaces is doing so well is because it's a built-in feature. I don't have to download anything extra.
Something else.
Yeah, it's a built-in feature in a moderately popular platform, because Twitter is really not as popular as other platforms, but it is moderately popular, and it's something that everybody can access, especially now that it has been rolled out on iOS, because it started on iOS
and
then
Android.
it quickly came over to Android. So now everybody has access to it. So it's easier for me to just do a Twitter Spaces than it is to wait for an invitation to go over to Clubhouse.
I think the idea of Clubhouse is better as a feature and not a whole platform.
You go.
I think it's better as a feature. So I think anybody and everybody's integrating it, because Facebook is launching their platform.
Yes.
Spotify is launching their Spotify Green Rooms. Twitter's already launched Twitter Spaces. We know LinkedIn is working on their own version of in-app audio. So I think it's a great feature for all of these existing platforms, not a standalone platform. And it's better as a feature, because you know what? If I want to jump into a Twitter Spaces, I can easily duck in, duck out. It doesn't take away from what else I use Twitter for, right?
Right. Yes.
If I don't want to listen to Twitter Spaces, I don't have to, but I can still use Twitter for a variety of other things. But with Clubhouse, there's nothing else for me to do over there. So if I'm not involved in the rooms and I just don't prefer to consume my content like that, then Clubhouse to me is dead. It's been dead. I've removed it from all of my platforms. And again, all the issues that you mentioned, when you get into the monetization, you get into exclusiveness, when you think about the features that made it popular to be curious about to download, are typically the same things that they took too long to progress on and just had people drive away. And what they could have done was Twitter. We know that Twitter offered to buy them for $4.1 billion.
Yeah,
they said, you know what? We're going to stick to our guns. Kudos to them. They're commendable. They're standing behind their product. So I don't think anybody can fault them for that. But future will tell. Time will tell if that was the right decision, because
and I think why they did that too was because they had such a ridiculously high evaluation, and they're like, no, well, we work money over here, so no, we're not going to do that. But now Facebook is introducing audio features more, and
what I was saying even about Twitter was the fact that it's also how we use Twitter. Twitter is that space where when you want to talk about certain things, whether you want to vent about bad service, whether you want to share information about a particular topic and connect with certain people, it's already that space within the text space. So it's natural progression.
It marries well.
Yes, and then a feature that we've seen come out in a lot of the conversations that have been happening, even the pandemic dating conversation, Kadia, that Samantha, layman's doctor, does every now and again.
Yeah, and Ingrid does the This Week in Caribbean Tech. That's a weekly Twitter Spaces conversation over there.
Yes.
Yeah, so Jamaicans have really jumped into it.
Yeah, man. So persons live tweet and use whatever hashtag it is that the conversation is focused around. So you would end up. So I missed one of the conversations. I never miss nothing because I literally just searched the hashtag and I was like, okay, yeah, that's what happened. And you can catch up. So you still feel the conversation lives on beyond that. Yeah.
And then too, I like how Twitter is listening, because when Twitter Spaces just came
Yes.
out, persons were messaging them to say, "Hey guys, can we have a pre-scheduled something that you can schedule beforehand?" Boom! In no time, that was a feature.
Well,
Yeah.
also
Then
on
we
the
came back and
recording.
say, "Yeah,
But
yeah, that
we're
was
waiting on it.
one."
Yeah.
Two, now you can have paid Twitter Spaces. So you
Correct.
can
Yeah.
actually buy ticket to your Twitter Spaces. And I like how the feature actually functions in the app itself. I can minimize it and come out of Twitter and still listen
And
to
still
it.
listen to it.
Right. And
A
I
few,
like how it seems effortless. It's not, it doesn't stick. You don't have the sticking problem. You don't have audio problems. I like it. I actually
because
like
Yeah.
people are not there just for that. They're using other things as well. And I think another major factor too is Android
Mm-hmm.
owns 85% and more of the actual market share
Yeah.
for smartphones. 85% of all phones around the world are Android devices.
Mm-hmm.
Apple only has about 6 or 7% of the market share the last time I checked. That's a very small pocket of people for you to roll out an application on. So
Okay.
when Twitter, Facebook, when these giants launch Twitter Spaces, now it's available for everybody. It just makes sense. And again, it's not standalone, it's built in. So it's just a part of the ecosystem. And then with all of the new monetization features and the scheduling features that they've
Yeah.
rolled out, it
Mhm.
only makes sense. So Clubhouse was a great idea, but I think it's better executed by the other bigger
Yeah,
brands.
great idea, poorly executed. All right, thank you so much, Karen.
No problem.
Thanks
Appreciate
for
you
your
always,
take.
our
As
brother from
always, we'll
Trinidad
connect
and
again. All right.
Tobago this
Take
week
care.
on The Take. All right, guys. So our guests are here, and we're about to have an amazing conversation because we have some amazing panelists, experts
Yes.
who are here to talk to us about some interesting stuff, some
Saucy.
mushrooms, functional mushrooms, weed, and tech. And we're going to talk about how all these things coalesce
Yes.
and why they make sense together. We will be right back. All right, guys. So help us welcome Mr. Douglas K. Gordon. Good morning, Mr. Gordon. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm
He
great.
is the CEO of Silo Wellness Inc., a multinational company on a mission to support and aid in the reduction of trauma and increase of performance through psychedelics and time-tested natural medicine. He's also the founder of Canix Jamaica, the premier cannabis business conference and expo in the Caribbean, with over 2,500 attendees from 37 countries. That's big. That's big. All right. Also, we're talking to Douglas is going to be talking to us about a major collaboration when he had
Yes.
recently with the Marleys to launch Marley One. Okay, the first functional mushroom brand backed by a major celebrity brand. So we're going to be talking about that. Also, help us welcome Ingrid Riley. Morning, Ingrid.
Hey, Ingrid.
Ingrid is a well-known and sought-after tech expert and award-winning blogger. She's the founder of Rebel Girl Media, and she is the publisher of the Sun, Sea, and Sensei blog. She joins the discussion to talk about the intersection between psychedelics, weed, and tech. And Ingrid was also a part of a conversation recently about women in psychedelics and cannabis. So we're going to talk to her about that as well. And rounding out our panel is Dr. Che Bowen. He's the president, CEO, and CMO of the MD Link, the number one telemedicine platform in the Caribbean. And their mission is to improve and reinvent access to healthcare. They're an innovative online medical platform that connects patients to the best doctors and medical service providers in the region, anytime, anywhere. And Dr. Bowen, I've used MD Link and it's awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
And he's
Absolutely.
talking to us about the rise of telehealth in the Caribbean and how his company is leading the charge. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Digital Jamaica live show. I'm happy to have you guys here. So we're going to start out with Douglas talking about functional mushrooms.
Yes.
Because What is even that?
Yes. Give us a little background there.
Well, you have mushrooms. Well, thank you for having me on today. You have
Sure.
three types of mushrooms. You have culinary, which we're all familiar with in terms of portobello and different types that we eat. We have functional or therapeutic, and then we have psychedelic, better known as psilocybin. And functional mushrooms essentially have a lot of health properties. They've been around for a very long time. So you have folks who are, who are very familiar with health and wellness, and they would tend to know functional mushrooms. They would know them by names, sort of the species names. So lion's mane, reishi, turkey's tail, cordyceps, etc.
Yeah.
They've been proven out over time to have positive health benefits. So, for example, lion's mane is good for mind, for focus, for energy. Reishi is good for sleep. And so what we've done is, added those through our R&D perspective to say, let's add other active ingredients that will amplify the impact of the particular species, so that we can give the user a much more enhanced health and wellness experience. So, we've taken something that's been around for a very long time in functional mushrooms that have gained a lot of attention lately. Very fast growing space. In 2020, it was a $46 billion industry, and it's projected to grow at about 10% per year for the next 8 years. So it's a pretty large and fast growing industry. What we've done is sort of introduce some product innovations to best open them up for people who might be familiar with echinacea but they've not tried functional mushrooms. So we put them together so that they can have a better
understanding.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, and why do you think, Douglas, that it's growing in popularity? Because while I was doing research for this segment, I'm seeing a lot of statements from celebrities and people going, I use functional mushroom, it's no problem, it enhances my productivity or my creativity. So that's the kind of the conversation around it. And I think I found an article about persons in Silicon Valley using functional mushrooms as a part of their whole process. So why do you think it's taking off in popularity? And what is the state of that in the region or in Jamaica? Do you think it's as popular or it's gaining in popularity here?
So I think in large measure, we've had this massive shift toward having more natural solutions for health and wellness. That's taken place. That's an exponentially growing trend over the last sort of 15, 20, 25 years. And so it's just becoming more and more a substitute for folks in terms of looking for ways to be healthier, to improve their own bodies. And, you're just finding new compounds, or not new compounds, we're rediscovering things that we were not familiar with in the past that can serve us in that particular mission. And that's what mushrooms are. The other thing to put into context is, with all the work that's been done to better understand the impacts of psychedelics, mushrooms as a topic has become much more prevalent, and people have been doing a lot of research and now unlocking and understanding the huge potential that psychedelics hold for mental health, both in terms of performance in the sense of accessing more of our capacity as human beings and being more centered and productive, because we have found ways to better manage the traumas that we've all endured in the past, as well as treating very specific conditions, so anxiety, depression, and so forth, PTSD, for example. So the whole conversation around mushrooms continues to amplify. And as a byproduct of that, what people will see with functional mushrooms is, while it's on its own continuum in terms of just this broader appreciation for natural solutions and natural ways to improve our bodies, these have been around for a very long time. And that's why you're now seeing it become, quote unquote, more trendy. But it's really just more people understanding how they work and how they can help us.
Yes, so I think that that's specifically around us here locally, us gaining an appreciation and understanding of even what these the mushrooms and how they're used, etc. Ingrid, I'd love for you to weigh in here with regards to the role that you think that technology plays in the conversation around whether it is psychedelics or marijuana. And what comes to mind is like the popularity of things like 420. How do you think that tech integrates within this conversation?
Well, if we well, thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I'm
Absolutely.
It's good to be the lone rose among the thorns, but the thorns are and I have massive respect for, and I've been keeping an eye on online.
Yeah.
Ingrid, I can hardly hear you, and I'm dying to hear you.
Okay,
Yeah,
are you
yes.
hearing me now?
A little bit better. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think my mic is kind of doing some weird things. Okay, great. So so happy to be between to be the lone rose between the two thorns that I've been admiring. So I'm very happy to be here. So regarding the role in tech, now we know that with weed, marijuana, cannabis, whatever it is that you want to call it these days, and also mushrooms operate within a very regulated and also very opaque environment.
Yeah.
Regulated in terms of legal, both in various markets, and opaque because people are still understanding the medicinal benefits of it all. And so what I think the role that digital and tech plays is helping to educate a lot more, help to have the people who are actually selling these products know about these products and services, to use these digital platforms to educate and inspire and to connect people to the right information from the right people at the right time. Because we all know
Okay.
that when things
Okay,
are first,
Ingrid, you're
yeah.
sharing, you're dropping some facts and some gems, but our community is not really hearing you. Um,
Okay, second.
yeah, yeah.
Are you hearing?
Speak
Are you
again,
hearing me?
please.
Are you
Uh,
hearing me any better?
a little
Ingrid,
bit.
try without the headphones and see if that is better because it's really low. Or you
It's
can turn
low.
it up. Your phone needs to turn up or something. Volume.
Are you hearing me any better?
Yes,
Better.
actually.
Mm-hmm.
Or these headphones, these Chinese headphones. Anyway,
Done its time. Yes, so we're talking about the intersection of tech and the role that it's playing um,
right.
to further the conversation around psychedelics and marijuana.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that the role of tech is that it is there as a platform for people who are providing products and services to leverage these platforms to educate people and to connect them to the right information, the right people at the right time. And so because again we are these particular products, which are great right now because health and wellness is a multi-billion-dollar business and only growing further because of the pandemic, exacerbating a whole bunch of different things regarding our mental health, particularly. So I think because providers of these mushroom products or these cannabis products can't, within a lot of markets, advertise like say alcohol or like say food can. They have to basically get into the tech space, into the digital space to
And
educate and to inform individuals. So it plays a crucial role in terms of
mhm.
not just educating, but also marketing, and also tech can also play a role in terms of managing how these companies are actually doing their business, from research to production as well. So tech is really a very integral part of these industries. In fact, it's a critical part of any industries if you're operating in this digital age.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so in other words, then Ingrid, it's about really the access to information that we now have. So, for instance, silo wellness can now, put out their own research on these digital platforms. They can have conversations around these natural medicines or alternative medicines, right? And that can inform the public about what this thing is for, and maybe encourage use of these products. And it's also going into, you said, how the production of the products, because I know that with Douglas, your launch was digital. It was a digital launch. Marley One, I think it was. So you have an e-commerce platform set up around the distribution of Marley One.
Yes, but I mean, it was a digital launch in the sense that we had to host things like a virtual press conference. So we had the media around a Zoom platform, asking their questions and so forth. But we're not operating only in the digital space, and we have an e-commerce solution, but we also have sales into brick and mortar outlets in terms of different channels around the world. So, but yeah, I mean, I think, yeah. And by the way, Ingrid, it's a real pleasure to be here with you. I'm very honored to share the stage, and of course, Che, good to see you again.
And we're going to go to Dr. Boyd, because he is the MD here, right?
Yes.
Dr. Boyd, in terms of, weed and psychedelics, traditionally, I can speak to weed more than I can speak to psychedelics, because I'm really just learning about that. But traditionally, growing up, we have particular, groups of persons, Rastafarians, that's a part of their tradition or whatever, except for a long time that was kind of vilified here. So we grew up hearing that weed is not necessarily good. I didn't know of weed as an alternative medicine for things like treating anxiety, etc. No, you're hearing crazy. Cannabis oil and stuff. So there was always a negative connotation around weed. But from a medical perspective, how useful is psychedelics and weed to actually treating things, especially when it comes to mental health issues like anxiety, depression, etc.?
Okay, excellent. Thanks for having me. First of all, again, I'm Dr. Bowen, CEO and founder of MD Link. And to answer your question, I'd want to answer it from both sides, both the tech side and the health side.
Sure.
From the tech side, it's interesting to see how the progress of these medications, cannabis and psychedelics, how they have entered the market. They entered at the same time that the digital era was in place. And from a medical perspective, these entities were forced immediately to get digital. And what I noticed is that to regulate their stock, they had digital inventory management already in place. And I was approached. MD Link as a company was approached, of course, because the next thing they needed was healthcare, but they didn't want to have doctors on site. So, and then there were some geographical borders that they needed to cross, and they reached out to me for telemedicine. So from both a cannabis perspective, we actually ended up partnering, and one of our first partnerships, which a lot of people don't know, was with Kaya, the herb house. So we do medical recommendations for anyone who visits Kaya, and we are approved by the CLA to do so. And so how that works is that when you visit the entity, you have to see a doctor online digitally. They then get a digital recommendation. The inventory is reported digitally. I think the only issue is the digital payments and the digital finance aspect of things.
Yeah.
That's
because of that's because of the regulatory framework, as well as the relationship with other international bodies, because they're policing our use of it. But in certain states, they have access.
So Dr. Bowen, how about from the psychedelic side? Because that's from the weed side, and we actually didn't know that MD Link was a part of that whole Kaya setup. But in terms of psychedelics, yeah.
From the health side, again, yes, cannabis and psychedelics have been found to treat a lot of these mental health conditions, and with the pandemic, we have seen a definite rise in the need for mental health services, mostly in the first world, but it's definitely going to come to the other parts of developing countries, and more people will realize that mental health, life has become has reached a point where you have access to this mental health and it can help you live a better, more wholesome life. So why not get the services and healthcare treatment that you need?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so both cannabis and psychedelics, even the CBD aspect of cannabis, the THC aspect of cannabis, have been found to treat conditions like anxiety, especially anxiety, PTSD, depression, even. And from the psychedelic aspect, what they speak about is that what we see happening is that the psychedelics, it recreates the pathways in your brain. So someone who's anxious or depressed or has traumatic stress disorder, their brain pathways, they keep going through the negativity. There's only one pathway to go: negative, 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 because the positive side of things, the positive pathways, they have diminished. And then what trials have shown is that when you use psychedelics in the acute phase, you can reconfigure the wiring of the brain or the pathways, the synapses, and you reopen them, and then the brain has other pathways to go down, which means they can reform new pathways and live a more mentally satisfying life. That's what has been shown. And another thing of importance is that Mind Bloom, which is one of the biggest telemedicine psychedelic platforms in the world, they have been pushing the psychedelic healthcare to break down the geographical borders as well as the economic barriers. And that would include stuff like ketamine. Another interesting point is that psychedelics, although it's not legal in a lot of places, but I believe Jamaica is one of those places, and Douglas can let us know the other places. I just know that Jamaica definitely is one of those places, one of the few places in the world where it is legal. And that being said, there's an opportunity there.
Yes.
Even from medical tourism standpoint.
Yes, definitely, and I'm glad you said that.
You
Dr.
did that,
Bowen.
yes.
Because I remember when Gwyneth Paltrow, I think it was Gwyneth Paltrow, famous Hollywood actress, she came here and she did some kind of retreat or something, and psychedelics was involved, and it was global news, big thing. Gwyneth Paltrow get crazy in Jamaica with psychedelics, right? And that was, I think, the first time I actually heard about it, and then people tend to think that Gwyneth is kind of so that was, it was fitting, she was on brand, is what I'm saying. But now we're seeing that, okay,
the
Jamaica being, definitely the conversation is advancing, because Jamaica being one of few countries where it is still legal, as you said, Dr. Boyd, is an opportunity. So Douglas, how do we shape Jamaica into a global destination or community for psychedelics? And I'll ask Ingrid the same question about weed. How do we build a culture in Jamaica and the Caribbean around psychedelics? Dr. Bowen talked about, health tourism. How do we get that going?
Well, there's a couple of things. Jamaica is the only jurisdiction where psychedelics are not illegal. At present, in the Netherlands, truffles are legal, but not mushrooms, not psilocybin mushrooms. But I think it's important, if I may, to just in terms of how we look at psychedelics, there's a trippy part, there's a recreational component to it, right? And to sort of not speak to that is to be a little bit disingenuous in the industry, and we have to be mindful of it. But what we at Silo Wellness focus on, and why this is has been taking off around the world in terms of the importance of the research, is that you have about 30% of people who are in treatment for depression and other mental health ailments, for whom it's the medical community has accepted it doesn't work at all. They're what they like to call treatment resistant. And that's just to say the medication is having no positive impact for this whole set of people. But when you go beyond that, you have a vast number of people who are taking medication, who are getting some degree of relief. But if you've ever been in touch with folks who are taking some of these powerful medications, they're not really living a full life in many instances. Some of them, it's doing enough to get them, away from a position of harming themselves or harming others. But they're in such an altered state that you can't define it as a sort of quality of life. And so, from a therapeutic and a medical perspective, what psychedelics are doing, and this is just to touch on what Dr. Bone mentioned, is they're rewiring the neural pathways, right? So we go from a situation where a trauma that we've experienced in our life, whether that's could be of any nature, it could be parental relationships, it could be sexual abuse, it could be all kinds of things. But what we tend to do is, we sort of reroute our pathways away from the trauma. And as we get older and older, that sort of tipping point, that defense mechanism that kicks in is further and further away from the trauma. And so we're not actually able to utilize most of our mental, we're not able to utilize a lot of our mental capacity by virtue of the fact that any comment, conversation, issue that even starts to remotely get into the fray of where that trauma resides, we start to sort of, we get a little bit more sullen, like where are they going with this conversation? And then we start to get more annoyed, and then we start to decide, I'm going to excuse myself. I'm going to get angry because they don't know what they're talking about, or I'm going to get depressed because it sounds like a judgment call. And what this allows us to do is reinterpret the trauma. So it's not the same solution as somebody trying to explain to you what you went through and tell you it wasn't so bad, or blah, whatever the treatment protocol is. And I'm not trying to presume I know, any better than a psychiatrist or psychologist by any stretch of the imagination. But what it allows us to do is to reinterpret that trauma. And by doing that, we get access to more of our mind. We're not so reactive to when we're talking about something that would previously trigger, to where now we're now shutting down, we're now calling away, or we're going into some sort of like altered depressed state or agitated state, because we can now better process the trauma. And it's so important to disassociate the recreational component, where people are using psychedelics to just have a sort of out of this world experience, just like some people use THC to have an out of this world experience. And the truth is, these are natural compounds. So while psychedelics is very powerful, and we want to teach people how to use it as opposed to exposing them without that understanding, these are life choices that people should have with some kind of guidance, the ability to make for themselves, because they're natural. But in terms of a therapeutic approach and how it can help people, why I'm so motivated and passionate about what we do is, especially the Caribbean, we have this terrible, dirty little secret. Anybody who has some sort of mental health issue, we kind of sweep them under the rug. They end up in the country with some distant relative, and hey, what happened to you? They're in England studying, they're doing great. Because for whatever reason, we've conditioned ourselves to where, we as a family are less than if we have to share that someone in our family is having a challenge in a mental health scenario. And what I really, truly hope, not just for the benefit of helping more people to realize their fuller potential by accessing more of their mind through the use of psychedelics, I really hope that part of our mission serves to help us in the Caribbean reframe that problem. Because these are people, and these are folks, unfortunately, who make these tough decisions that some of us can sit and judge, right? Like, why would you do that? That's terrible to send off to da-da-da. And the person says, I had to make a choice. I have 3 other children. And I didn't know if I was going to affect their ability to socialize, to have opportunities, because their brother or their sister has this sort of challenge, right? I can't imagine, as a parent, I can't imagine 30 years down the road having to think about that every single day and question if I made the right decision for my family, even though it pains me. So part of this mission for me is also the ability to put this conversation on the table and to now have it fleshed out, have us as a Caribbean people be more mature and engaged around these topics so we can address them. And here's the other thing. Every single medical practitioner who works in a psychiatric ward or helps people with mental health conditions, could you imagine the absolute mental sacrifice that they take on? They're working with one hand behind the back because nobody really wants to acknowledge what they do. Nobody really understands what they do. And in some way, shape, or form, we choose to sort of diminish what they do. And if we can somehow recognize the sort of incredible role they've played to keep us together, and kick on from here, we have this opportunity to raise our collective emotional intelligence, if you will, but also be more mindful and bring more people back into the productive part of our society. So I'm not here to sort of give you a crazy narrative, but those are some of the things that we look at that I think are so incredibly important outside of, did you take your psychedelics today? And you come to Jamaica for that express purpose and so on and so
So
forth.
it's more about, shifting the local culture or the regional culture around how we think about mental health and how we treat mental health. Ingrid, so could it be a situation where Turkey is to what you call it? People will fly overseas to get enhancements. Just put it that way. What you for some reason it's slipping me what you call it now. So like plastic surgery. So Turkey is to plastic surgery as Caribbean is to weed. Is that something that we could make happen? Because people have been flying out all the time to go to Turkey to get cheap plastic surgery. So can people fly out to Jamaica to get cheap psychedelics weed treatment? I don't know.
Absolutely. I'm sure once there's a clear benefit that psychedelics show for them. I mean, because I read prior to this as well, that there are a bunch of retreats already happening across Jamaica. People, hundreds of people are coming here for controlled experiences with psychedelics. And
Yes.
so, as Douglas said, that we can't just, glorify a particular product without balancing the narrative in terms of the good and the not so good. And that is fact, it is not for everyone. And it's the same thing it is for cannabis. Now, yes, Jamaica has a global brand, Jamaica weed, right? And that's fantastic for us to have that. But I think there are two massive ways for us to really capitalize on that resonates in a broad scale, and that is through the importation of people coming in to experience, to have that Jamaican cannabis experience. It's been happening since the 70s or 60s before I was born, right? And so now it's a matter of how do we do it in a way that is even more amplified and even more educational and inspiration, and also, of course, medical tourism, because people take cannabis for different reasons, for medical reasons, for recreational reasons. And I think so we can import people to come and have that Jamaican cannabis experience through tourism and different levels of tourism. But I think also we should export the Jamaican cannabis experience through products and through events. And products, because we have to get into that export space and get into that global market and take what is that is uniquely Jamaican here. Weed grown in the West is different from weed grown in the South. Because there is different weather patterns and different earth nutrients, and weed grown in red dirt is different from weed grown in other kind of dirt. And again, this is just Jamaica. And I think
or in hydroponics or on the grow lights versus
indoor or outdoor as well. And then there's the range of from THC to the CBD as well. And so those products, I think, because they're Jamaican, because we have that brand, I mean, I'm glad that we're really kind of pushing to get into the export market, but that's something that must happen, and we have to take our place on the global stage where that is concerned. And also through experiences, taking that Jamaican cannabis experience and exporting it. I look at one particular brand, Buds and Brushing, which is done by Mel Streets. Now, she is an edibles creator herself, but she started these, puff and paint experiences prior to the pandemic. With the pandemic hitting, she went digital, and it just exploded. And so she's taking both the Jamaican culture in terms of the cannabis experience, but also the music and cannabis Jamaican experience, which I think is just fucking brilliant. And so we need more of that. And I know she's not the only event that's doing that, but there are a whole range of other events as well. So that's how I see it. How do we maximize that Jamaican cannabis experience by importing people to have that experience locally, but also exporting our products and that Jamaican experience as well. Fantastic amount of money to be made from that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get a slice of that at some point.
Yeah, my biggest concern in all of this is how you said it, Ingrid. It's our culture. It's a big, huge part of our culture.
Yeah.
Jamaica weed. It's a lot of people think all weed come from Jamaica. People actually do think that. So, but it's about how do we maintain an equitable share in these markets, because weed becoming legal elsewhere saw a lot of us being pushed out of the market as well. So it's about maintaining an equitable share in the market, since for a long time we were vilified for this, and now that this is becoming legal,
or decriminalized, etc.
We need to be a part of it. But before,
we have to understand the business of cannabis. I mean, for us, it was you could have go around the corner and go to the ice mint lady and get your $100 bag of weed or whatever.
Yeah.
You call your friend, and then all of a sudden a man tooting at the gate, and you have a big bag of weed. You don't know where it's from, what kind,
what it is, what it was.
Like, it's weed. Let's roll, right? Pull out the whites. Let's roll. Let's have a party, right? But in the small window that I was selling CBD oil, I learned a lot. It was just an experiment for me, because I use CBD and as well as use THC.
Yeah, so do I.
To manage different moods and attitudes. But what I discovered is that even just selling something that I consider to be very, innocuous as CBD, 99% of my clients at the time were women, were professional women, were executive women, were entrepreneur women, just managing stress and of course monthly lady pains. And there was because I had put out this blog about how I went from just saying no to yes about cannabis, and I had put it out on the blog, and it kind of like blew up, and I put up some images of me, smoking weed, and people were like, "What the?" Right? But I did it. I did it because I was like, "Listen, guys, we
need to change,
remove the stigma, and remove the thing."
Yeah.
A lot of people. There are a lot, even in the Jamaican market. There is a lot of people who simply do not know much about cannabis and its benefits to them mentally and physically. Yeah. And I had to do a lot of teaching to these women and to others around the true benefits and how to start and that kind of thing. So there's just in the local market alone, we may think that, every Jamaican smokes weed. They don't.
They don't, yeah.
And there are a lot of people, there are a lot of underserved groups in Jamaica, especially women, that are underserved and untapped because they're not being spoken to in a particular way, and they need to the educational part is really, really crucial, and it has to come from people who are not just trying to sell you shit, but try to help you to understand your path and understand, is this really a benefit to me and how? And
that's what Douglas was saying with the psychedelics. That was his thing. That making sure that we're having the conversation and that we're educating people around what these things are.
And the other thing is, so I have experience in CBD as well, Ingrid. And educating and how it works and so forth. And here's why one of the underlying reasons why we did the partnership with the Marley estate, outside of the fact that, from a branding perspective, it's a massive opportunity. One of the key components, one of the biggest values that I think it brings is not to silo wellness as an enterprise. It's to the mushroom industry. Because what we saw with CBD is that we had to educate people about, on this podcast alone, right? You had people talk about cannabis, weed, and marijuana, right? So for a person who had shut off this entire segment because it's wrong and it's naughty and if they listen to the first part, they still think we're talking about three different things, right? So we had to go through that. And then we reached a place where, then we had to talk about THC and CBD. So then somehow CBD got this whole idea that that's the good part of cannabis and THC is the bad part of cannabis.
That's right.
And they explain like nonsense, right? and yada yada yada. So why we value this opportunity so highly for the industry is because number one, I just explained by telling you the 3 different types of mushrooms, but they're all mushrooms, right? So now we can focus on psychedelic, which has the most transformative potential for people to realize their own personal capacity, right? But how do we get there? We get there first by educating them about functional mushrooms that have no psychedelic impact. So for the person who's saying like, I'm interested in hearing, well, this has a little psychedelic, they shut down because their whole life they've been like, listen, nobody's telling me about my mind not being within my control and yada, yada, yada. What we have here is an opportunity to educate them through a brand they recognize.
Yes, a major brand.
Wow, Marley, mushrooms, what's that? Right? And we get to say to them, this is how this works. This is lion's mane with ginkgo biloba. This is the flavor. It's going to help you with focus and energy and so forth. And then they get sensitized, they get exposed, and they learn. And in the process, they now start to think, so tell me about the rest of the mushrooms. Like, how did that really work? Because I've had a positive health experience from using this. And now all of a sudden, it's a very different conversation. And we've seen this in all sorts of different examples in life, that it's a very different thing to have a prejudicial perspective than one that's actually anchored in knowledge. And so that's what we have to do. And, we talk about technology, and we can't get away from technology. Technology is interwoven into every single thing we do, right? Dr. Bowen's a medical doctor, but he could just as well be just a tech entrepreneur. His app does not warrant a medical degree per se.
Yeah.
He's been able to take that knowledge and leverage it into a space that his expertise is relevant and then put it out there with technology. So for us, we want to use these tools to be able to better tell the story, share the information, and educate folks. And it's not just consumers. Cannabis and CBD have had a tough time in Jamaica because the people that actually administer it, they don't understand it. They're the ones who are still in many instances anchored around, listen, I don't want to hear about this thing because this thing's just going to get everybody high. And we're going to have a bunch of zombies walking through the streets of Jamaica. And I went to school in London or whatever, and everybody thought I was from some drug family. And I remember that, and da-da-da-da-da. And that's all real. But it doesn't allow us to perpetuate that, because the actual scientific and medical evidence of how CBD works and how it helps the endocannabinoid system and helps us to self-regulate and have much more improved lives is real.
It's
so I truly believe that that's what our Marley collaboration of us in the psychedelic space is on a global level, to increase the appetite, the interest of people to learn about psychedelics. And that's where the real healing resides in this whole mushroom framework, is in that side of things.
Yeah, because the Marleys were already involved in the weed business. And I remember when that came out, it was also a big deal, because here is, Marley's a quintessential Jamaican branding. Again, just like how you have weed and Jamaica, you have Marley and Jamaica, right? So people were like, okay, yeah, I get that. Of course they're going to go into weed. It's the Marleys, and everybody knows, Marley, that image. When you think of Bob Marley, think of that image with him with a big spliff, right? So it's natural. So going into psychedelics may not be, such a big jump, but people are like, oh, this is interesting. This is very, I think, forward thinking, of them to then take this route into another alternative kind of remedy. But I want to switch over now to Dr. Bowen, because Dr. Bowen is the president of MD Link, and it is one of the first I know. Okay.
Yeah, it's the first one that I know. Yeah,
telemedicine platform in Jamaica. Caribbean. And I remember using it because I was trying to exercise and had a little slip up and hurt myself, injured my leg, and I couldn't get up to go to the doctors, and I used MD Link, and I don't remember the name of the doctor at the top, but she was awesome. And I don't particularly like doctor's office, so that was great for me, and it was cheaper. So it was easy to use. I literally went in, set up my appointment, got my appointment, I chose which mode, whether it was by phone or by video
WhatsApp.
on WhatsApp,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
I chose
Yeah.
WhatsApp. She saw what she saw. She told me what to do. In my email, I got my sick notes. I got my thing what I need to get, and done, dusted, and gone about my business. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Bowen, talk to us about MD Link, how it came about, and what the reception has been like.
Sure. So, MD Link, telemedicine platform, more or less allows patients to connect with doctors in real time, get treated online right there, and get your prescription sent to the pharmacy, lab request sent to the lab, sick notes if you need a sick note. We have evolved into more of a digital ecosystem in that you can now book house calls online, you can book house tests online, we'll come to you and do the test. You can book a lab test directly online and then just go to the lab and get it done. We launched in 2017, and at the time I was actually in the British Virgin Islands. I'm from Trinidad, and I came to Jamaica at 18, did med school here, and ended up in the BVI. Spent some time in St. Lucia, so I'm very Caribbean, and I started doing events and promoting. No, I'm going to tie everything together soon. So I was doing events in Jamaica, and I left. I went to the BVI, was working. I then decided to go back into medicine, and I launched MD Link in Jamaica while in the BVI. Came back to Jamaica right in time, or I should say 2 weeks before the pandemic hit Jamaica. Not on purpose, but it did help the company for the telemedicine because I was in Jamaica on the ground when the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden, telemedicine moved from a convenience to a need. So at that point
Right.
in 2018, we started having a lot of patients and doctors from each side coming on board, 2020, sorry, 2019, 2020, and it has again propelled the use of the platform, the acceptance of the platform tremendously. In that now doctors, I didn't even have to convince doctors. They don't look at me like I'm crazy. You see a patient online.
They don't look at you like you're crazy anymore, because I can
Yeah.
imagine that was a hurdle when you just started.
Yeah.
Were doctors hesitant to sign up in the beginning?
Before that, guys, we want to say thanks to Ingrid. Ingrid has to jump off. Ingrid is very busy, so she's always having interviews all over the place. So Ingrid has to jump off. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Good to meet you, Douglas. I'm sure we'll do face to face and do some business.
Likewise.
Dr. MD Link, keep doing what you're doing. I'm keeping my eye on you, definitely. And yes, you are a tech entrepreneur, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you, Ingrid. All right, so Dr. Bourne, I think Monique was asking you what was the reception from doctors like at first.
Yes.
Right. So initially, it was a bit of a see a patient online. I don't know, is that real? Is that a real thing? Is that legal? Can we actually do that? So I had to actually, and this is where the benefit of being a doctor came in. I had to ask my friends, can you help me out with this? Can you come on board? Can you get this off the ground? This was back in 2017. Telemedicine hadn't even a thing in America as yet. So they came on board and they helped me get it off the ground. I started seeing more and more patients, and then the pandemic hit and the doctors were asking me to come on board. So it switched around, and I would definitely say that more and more patients are using the platform. We're seeing a registration rate of about 100 patients per day. So that's huge.
Excellent.
Yeah, the usage is definitely growing.
Yeah.
And you can use the platform for a lot of the simple things. You want to save money, you want to save time, you can treat your urine infection, your allergies, your rashes, your eye infection, refill any prescriptions, your high blood pressure, your diabetes. It's especially great for mental health usage. So a lot of patients come on for anxiety, depression, and see some of our psychiatric psychologists as well. And we have gynecologists on there, pediatricians, almost every specialty. We even have surgeons, even though you can't do surgeons on the platform.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And Dr. Bowen, are you planning on expanding MD Link in the region?
Definitely. So we have entered a few other islands, including Trinidad and Barbados, and I have been approached by a lot more persons to expand even bigger. Right now, the headquarters is still in Jamaica, but we definitely plan to expand to the entire English-speaking Caribbean and then to the Spanish or the Latin side of.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Bowen. Douglas, I know you have to go. Tell us where we can access Marley One products and why. When is the next Canex Jamaica conference?
So Marley One you can get via the website, marley1.com. And then we will have product in stores in Jamaica next week.
Next week, okay.
Ooh,
and when is the next? What are the price points like?
I think at retail in Jamaica, it's going to be roughly 3,200.
Okay.
It'll land at for a 1 ounce bottle. So it's like a month's supply.
Yeah.
And then we have 5 different SKUs. I think you put them up before, but we have the 5 different SKUs for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're excited. I mean, it's you talked about Jamaica, and in terms of too often we talk about people coming to Jamaica as being the only metric of whether or not it's supporting the country, but the truth is, for me, like, this is such a powerful brand and such a powerful platform, and it's almost sort of disingenuous. It takes something away from it to just talk about it as a brand all the time. What Bob Marley stood for, what he lived, what he spoke of, was so germane to what we're talking about today. One, all of us being as one. The pandemic reduced us to this sort of false notion that this person is better than this person because they have a better car or whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
Where everyone was faced like, what happens next? What I mean? It doesn't matter whether you had food or didn't have food in your pantry. Of like, what happens next? So there's the oneness of us as people, but we also have that sort of oneness of one with the earth, and understanding the tremendous healing power that the earth provides us. And so, the way I kind of look at it is from a micro perspective. We are hiring people in Jamaica. We are giving villas, business. We're giving whatever. You know what I mean? So that there's that component to it. As we grow out our retreats, we'll do more of that. You have companies that are coming in that are using Jamaica as a base for clinical trials. In the terms of price landscape is a lot more competitive to do it here.
Yeah.
But again, you're able to access the same high quality of intellectual capacity that you would otherwise, right? So that's a wonderful use of the country's resources as well.
Yeah.
But in our particular instance, outside of the cultivation we do locally, outside of the retreats we host, the jobs that we're creating here, I'm also proud of the fact that we get to take the legacy of a man who's been gone longer than he was alive, right? Let's not ever forget that. He's been gone longer than he was alive. And, he symbolizes so much of what Jamaica is and what it represents, and how it has, continuously through the Usain Bolts and all these other instances, hit way above its weight class in terms of
above its weight.
For sure.
And we get to put that on the world map. We've created the world's first globally recognized mushroom brand.
Yeah.
It seems like a mouthful. It seems kind of interesting, but that's a really powerful.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
But in creating that, it automatically ties back to Jamaica. Every market that we go into to talk now about functional mushrooms and psychedelic mushrooms, and how the Marley One brand, which is
Jamaica, is a part of the conversation.
Jamaica is a natural part of the conversation.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we get into this thought that, how is Jamaica benefited? And Ingrid said something earlier that I don't think we take as seriously as we need to. When opportunity presents itself, we have to be ready for it. And if we're not ready, then we have to get prepared. And I think too often we've taken individually and collectively a very small mindset of survival. And so we haven't prepared ourselves for when that opportunity comes. And when it shows up, we sort of, some of us have
reactive
shell of like, don't take advantage of me. When really and truly, opportunity doesn't wait for anybody. We have to step into it. We have to lean into it. We have to say, I'm good at this, but we need this, and this to make it work. And where do I find these people? And how do I collaborate with them? And how do I make that work? And that's where I think it's this whole idea that the cannabis ship has left Jamaica. I don't subscribe.
I don't subscribe to that either. No.
But I do think that the way of doing it in the past is not going to serve.
It's not for now or in the future.
Yeah.
But even Dr. Bowen said it. No persons are coming to him. Even persons in the cannabis industry are coming to him to say, "Hey, you have this platform, which is a first in the region." And in certain parts of South America, it's a first. So we're innovating in other spaces. So there's a tech innovation with platforms like MD-Link, and there's innovations in alternative medicine as with psychedelics and with weed, and that's how all these things, and marijuana, and all these things come together to put Jamaica on the map. Again, you can't have a conversation about psychedelics now without talking about Marley 1, and of course that's naturally tied back to Jamaica. Similarly, you can't have a conversation about cannabis without talking about Jamaica. And the funny thing is, both things tie back to Bob Marley. Both of those things tie back to Bob Marley, right? And now we have a platform like MD-Link that is ready and available and out there and saying that we'll participate in this because we see the benefit of it.
And
Thank you guys.
We can extend the access to so many other persons because they can connect it via technology. Mr. Gordon, us here at Digital Jamaica just want to throw, with the launch, make sure you keep us in mind. Dr. Bowen.
You mentioned, we do have a Canix event, the Psychedelic Summit.
Sure.
In a couple of weeks, July 15 and 16.
Right. That's in Mo Bay?
Yes, in Montego Bay.
Okay.
I tend to do most of my events in Montego Bay because Jamaica feels as though Montego Bay is country.
Yes.
And I'm trying to finally change that narrative. Montego Bay is a great place to be, but it's an opportunity for people to learn. And that's first and foremost what this all is about, is how do we learn so that we can understand, so then we can decide what actions we wish to take to participate or just to be passengers along the train. Yeah.
Sure. Dr. Bowen, thank you so much. Douglas, thank you for being with us. Dr. Bowen, one more question before we let you both go. Somebody was asking, and maybe Douglas, you can help with the question as well. What are the benefits? Is there an autism link? Is there psychedelics and weed? Is there some kind of research out there that talks about the benefit of that to autism? Because I have a brother who is autistic. And the person who asked, wanted to find out as well. Is there some kind of link between that and the treatment of certain types of autism, or is there anything like that out there right now?
There are a couple of studies that link autism and psychedelics in terms of psychedelic use for autism. I don't have the takeaways from it, readily in my head, but I do know that they exist. So I can try to find that, maybe channel it to you, and then you can.
Sure. Dr. Bowen?
We'd appreciate that.
What I would say is that those studies are relatively new, and they focus more on the LSD and the MDMA side of the psychedelics.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, it has to do with rewiring the brain pathways.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the studies are new. They're still working through it. And I'm sure more information will come out as soon as it's available. Thank you so much, Douglas and Dr. Boyd. We really appreciate you guys being on our platform. Yeah, all the best with Marley 1. And of course, MD-Link is on my phone. And I think I may try Marley 1 products too, because I try cannabis now because that helps me sleep. So I'm hoping psychedelics will probably have the same effect, and of course, I want to experience the trippy.
That's why I'm saying Mr. Gordon needs to, remember Digital Jamaica with the entire launch.
With love.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Take care. Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
And also a very special thank you to Ingrid Riley, who was a part of our panel earlier and had to jump off. Without any further ado, we are going straight into our people and product section.
He has been very patient. Very patient.
And today we're talking to Rashidi Thomas, who is the co-founder of Gift Me. Rashidi, welcome to the Digital Jamaica Live show. All right. I'm going to ask you to unmute, Rashidi.
Sorry.
All right.
Yes, thank you
Good
guys
to
for
go.
having me.
Okay, so I'd love for you to give a little more information because a lot of persons don't know what Gift Me is. What is Gift Me, and how did you come up with the idea?
Well, simply put, GiftMe is really a two-sided digital marketplace where local
Mm-hmm.
merchants can publish, list, and sell their gift cards online, through our portal. So if you're in St. Anne and you want to buy a gift card for someone in Kingston, the way how it was done before was that you'd have to possibly call the merchant, ask if they have any gift cards available.
A
Um,
gift certificate,
a gift
actually. Gift
certificate.
cert. Yeah,
Yes,
you
a
sell a
gift
gift
cert.
cert. Uh-huh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
After it's available, then they would have to know work out how they're going to get the money, possibly by, sending somebody
Bank
up with it or,
transfer or something.
transfer
Yeah,
to the
or
bank.
somebody drive from
Yeah,
St. Anne to.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
So it's just a lot of friction, that really, took place at that time. Not to mention
Yes.
the persons who are overseas, I mean, they
Yes.
would have been left out totally, I
Yeah.
mean, so really that's what it is in a nutshell. And
Yes.
how the idea came about. True story. My cousin was in the States and he wanted
Mm-hmm.
to purchase a gift card for his mom, right? Who had a birthday earlier in the year. And he wanted to, he didn't know how about doing it. COVID time, people are locked down, but he still wanted to send something, that has meaning, not just to send her money because
Yeah.
that's just the easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So pretty much it was a very difficult experience for him. Let's put it that way. And then I thought to myself, how is it that our local merchants are not selling digital gift cards?
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that is, gift card business is big in the States. And you have different, marketplaces in the States that you can go and buy a gift card from a
Preloaded gift cards. If
preloaded
you go to
or
Walmart or anywhere,
anywhere like
anywhere.
that. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, how is this not a thing here in Jamaica? This can't be possible because this has such a big use case. We have a large diaspora who pretty much, would want to send back a gift to their loved ones pretty much every day. Every day is somebody's birthday. Every day somebody has something to celebrate. A graduation, or this or that.
Right.
So we did a little bit of market after I realized that there was a gap in the market. We did some market validation. We went around and we started knocking on people's doors. Just to
Yeah.
say, was this a real need? And then to our surprise, it was.
Yes.
So after which, we collated around, the whole building of and the development of the platform. Gathered feedback from our early merchants and so on and so forth. And no, it is what it is now. So we pretty much launched the MVP version of this product May 3rd, a week before Mother's Day, because we wanted to catch that Mother's Day rush. Actually Mother's Day is the single most high purchase day globally. Anywhere. That's where people buy the most gifts. So we really position ourselves around that day. To
Okay.
really go out and launch.
Okay, and I realized something when we're looking through some of the merchants that there's a specific emphasis on small businesses. Why did you take that approach?
Well, the truth about it is that small businesses are the lifeblood, the lifeblood of any country. That's
Mm-hmm.
where everything is built upon. That's where the incremental, persons who get employed through those avenues. So we really wanted to create a platform that allowed our merchants the ability to scale. Because what happens is that the small businesses are normally ones who are strapped with resources. They don't have the money to go and build out a platform.
Yeah,
They don't have the knowledge or the wherewithal to do that.
yeah, or the resources. Yeah,
Or the resources to do it. So we really believe that this was a large market that really needed to have this platform to really expand their business, to go out there and scale their business. And that's where we started with small merchants. Now, when we started to build, we realized that not only were the small merchants were the ones who needed a service like this, but really and truly in Jamaica, all merchants, small, medium, large, because nobody really has a digital gift card platform to which they can go ahead and post
very
gift cards.
few. Yeah,
Very
yeah.
few. Very few, maybe only very large, very large companies.
Yeah,
So,
a small handful.
right. So what we have realized is that, even larger companies now are approaching us, to see, how can we leverage this platform to really, tap into the digital space, which is now, where the world is. People are not going back to the business how they were once doing it before. So, it presents really a good opportunity for them to really engage with their customers, acquire new customers, because when somebody gives you a gift card to go to a merchant that you have maybe never even
Visited before.
When
Yeah.
that person gets that gift card and know they go into this establishment to exchange pleasantries or to get a product or service, that merchant has a new customer.
Yes.
So and it's also gift cards. I just want to make some emphasis on this. Is a very powerful tool. I don't think we are at the level where we should be in terms of our psyche. The merchants on the merchant side to realize that, listen, gift card is a really good way for you to get money up front, because as you know, gift cards take a while to expire. Some may expire 12 months, some may expire 6 months, some may expire in 3 months. So if you are selling gift cards on a regular basis, it means that you now have monies coming upfront to you, cash flow upfront, that you don't necessarily have to exchange a product or service for immediately. Because I know, yes, people are last minute. They may just come the day before 6 months to use the gift card. But the merchants would have had really received this monies upfront, and they could now invest in marketing, they could now invest in, pay their bills, pay their staff, whatever it is. So it's a very good tool, to add to their
to grow your business.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that even answered one of my questions in terms of the importance of adopting technologies and things like this, particularly for those small businesses. You touched on the different points in terms of it giving you cash flow upfront, introducing you to new customers, even giving you or providing you with an additional platform to communicate and to share about your business, which is really invaluable. So you touched on a part of it before, but how do you think that Gift Me can help to really revolutionize the local market? You touched on it because you mentioned we're not going back to how we did business before. We want it to change, and as consumers, I'm telling you, we want it to change. How do you think that Gift Me is helping to revolutionize and change the local market scene?
Right. So on two ends. So I'll begin from the merchant side. Giving them access to markets they did not have access to before. And why I say this, it's because
that's a big.
Right. You really cater to three markets. The local markets, persons just for sheer convenience can purchase a gift card. Not even for a major event, just because, just as a treat. It doesn't have to be a birthday or a Mother's Day or a Father's
graduation.
Day. Graduation, right? Just give gifts just because, just because I'm thinking about it today. Here's a treat from me to go to have a cup of coffee at Cannonball Cafe, for argument's sake. And also I touched on it before, but the diaspora is also a huge market, whereby 3 million people live outside Jamaica, and that has ties to Jamaica. So pretty much that's really they would not have a direct access to this market were it not for this digital platform where somebody can just easily go purchase a gift card from you. The recipient receives this instantly in an email or text message, and then they can then come into your location and redeem this gift card. And then we also have a corporate. We also have a corporate side to the business, whereby we connect with a number of large entities, the banks, the FMCG companies, medium-sized entities who pretty much, want to give their employees something, for employee engagement and incentives and stuff like that. These entities were already buying gift cards in a very manual way, very cumbersome way, where, it's a big pain point.
They were buying gift certificates, and somebody had to go to the place
and then the merchant themselves would have to write up 200 gift cards. So pretty much we're also offering them access to that market, whereby now we're actually leveling the playing field, because what happens is that when you are a small entity, I mean, large companies, they may tend to buy gift certificates from a more established brands, the supermarkets, the this, the that, However, some of their employees and customers would want to buy a gift card for a spa. They would want to enjoy a meal at a restaurant of their choice. So pretty much we are giving now the smaller retailers, access, leveling the playing field for them to say, oh, hey, you actually have a presence now in front of these corporations that it may not have even crossed their minds to get a gift card, for their customer, for their loyal customer, for their employees in that fashion. But no, there's an opportunity for you to do this. So pretty much for the merchant side, that's how we plan to really have them leverage our platform to really gain access that they would have not had before. Now, from the consumer side, I mean, the feedback has been very, very, very good. Our customer experience, because we're a technology company, and this product was built from the ground up, by local guys. So pretty much when we came out, we did it in the true startup fashion. We came out, we iterated, we got feedback from our consumers, we got feedback from our small set of merchants. I'm in the street, so pretty much I am the person who is between our developers and the end user, and because we are so nimble and because we are a true tech company and our focus is really on, customer experience that has to be at the forefront. Pretty much we built this platform around that. The experience has been fantastic. We have implemented new features such as scheduling. So if you want to purchase a gift card now for your loved one for their birthday next week, you can also do that, and the gift card is sent automatically to them on that time when it is scheduled. We also, the experience for the merchants, they can now create and customize how they want the gift card pages to look. They can do their own artwork because we are integrated into Canva. So we really give everybody on the merchant and on the consumer side access and the leverage to do pretty much anything. So it's a very easy process whereby you go onto our marketplace, you select a merchant who you want to buy the gift card from, and the merchant will have listed out their price gift cards, 2,000, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, and maybe an option so that you can choose the value gift card that you want. You enter the person's email address or their telephone number and put in your credit card information or your Visa debit credit card or your Master prepaid card or whatever means of payment you use. Make the person, the gift card is sent instantaneously to the recipient. So the experience, the experience has been, we have gotten very
it sounds seamless. Yes.
Very seamless.
It sounds like you refined it, and you actually answered the question I was going to come with, which was around persons accessing, and if it was that they buy a gift me card or they buy a very something from a specific merchant.
So gift me is really just the middleman, so to speak.
Right. So they get from the merchant.
So they get it from the merchant. And another good thing is that other than the consumer going to our website, Give Me, because we understand the culture that we're in. A lot of Jamaicans still think that social media is online. That's e-commerce for them. So they would easier go to the merchant's Instagram page and try and purchase something from there than to go on our website. So we pretty much allow the merchants also to list their gift card store link, because it's really a hosted link that they can now put it in their bio on their Instagram profile.
Right.
So you as a consumer, right? You as a consumer can click into the gift card link on the bio, and it's redirected to the merchant page. So it's just all we are just giving.
So you have a lot of access.
Exactly.
Right. Rashidi, I am so proud of you. I really wish Gift Me, I know more of our audience is aware. I'm sure that persons will be checking it out. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find Gift Me?
Okay, so our website is getgift.me. So it's www.getgift.me, and we're on Twitter, Gift Me Official. We're on Instagram, Get Gift Me, and we're on Facebook, Get Gift Me as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that's any one of those platforms, they can easily access us.
Excellent. Rashidi, thank you so much for joining us
Thank,
and wishing you all the best for Gift Me.
thank you, Monique. Thanks for having me. And have a great day.
All right, guys. So, excellent. So, we do have some updates for you. Um, I'm
That was
getting it up here,
awesome.
getting it up here.
That was
I
an
know
awesome
it's so.
interview, Monique. That was some good stuff.
Thank you.
I think you're slightly. Is there a delay? Because there's a delay on your end in responding. I think you're.
Slightly.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay.
I'm.
All right, guys. So now we have some quick updates for you, and then Monique is going to come back with our answer to the tech trivia word of the well, no, the answer to the tech trivia question. All right, guys. So some quick updates for Digital Jamaica. So we are having another pop-up talk shop coming up on July 17th, Saturday, July 17th, 4 to 7 p.m. And we have an amazing lineup of persons. And this time we're talking about how you, as a skilled Jamaican professional, whether you are just leaving college or whether you're been in the workforce for a while, because we're also trying to reach college students, yeah, how you can land jobs overseas, whether remotely or whether you are migrating, because you have to be on site. We're going to be telling you how you can find and land those jobs and what are some of the processes that are involved in doing that. So some of the topics we'll be discussing is how to use the online space to attract recruiters, where to find these opportunities online, how to prepare for the recruitment process, what are some of the things that you have to have in place once you've attracted these recruiters, what to do if contacted. We're talking about the H1, I think it's what called the H1B1 visa or the lottery process. There's a lottery process system that's also in place in the States that you can be a part of and get into the States to get to take advantage of these opportunities. We're talking about the student route. If you have to study in the States or study in Canada or study overseas, and that as a route to get in, and that's part of the lottery system as well. And we're going to talk about the migration route. What do you do after you have migrated? Say you've migrated to the States or you've migrated to Canada. It's still not a 1-2 thing to get into the job market over there. So what are some of the things that you need to do once you have migrated to acclimatize and then get into the job market? And what is the immigration process as somebody who's looking for a job? What is the immigration process like in Canada and in the USA? Those are the conversations we're going to have. And we have an amazing lineup of recruiters, of attorneys, of persons who have already done it, and they're going to be there to tell us and walk us through it. All right, guys? So that's coming up on July 17th. The link to register will be out this week, Thursday. We're going to start registration this week, Thursday. No, the word of the day is not high grade. The word of the day is M Health, Kenny Lewis. Okay, I know. Another update is that tomorrow our next podcast episode is out with Kalila Reynolds from Kalila Reynolds Media. She is the #1 business and finance media host in Jamaica, and I would dare say in the region. And she did it all online. And we're going to talk to her about how she started this major brand when she was pregnant with her third child and having COVID. Yeah, she's an amazing, amazing person. We had a lovely conversation and she told us all her business. And, I can't wait for you guys to hear it because it was so inspirational. And her story is such an amazing story. So look out for that episode of Digital Jamaica Podcast coming out tomorrow. And we have another interview with another amazing lady, Juliet Bodley. You guys may know her as the Julie Mango. She is a popular comedian on Instagram and TikTok, and we sat down with her yesterday and had a wonderful conversation about, you know, why she went into comedy, her wanting to get into acting, her being diagnosed with, you know, bipolarism and how she has gone through that, and her advocacy for mental health. Awesome conversation, and she's funny as all hell. Okay, I was dying the whole time. So that is coming up next week, so you can look out for that as well. And I think that's all the announcements
updates that we have.
Julie Mango, she's been all the place. She's a rising
I love you like mango.
In a comedy space, in a local comedy space, and she was gracious enough to sit down with us, and we so appreciate it. And you guys are going to really enjoy the conversation.
Trust me,
Right.
I can't wait for you guys to hear it, because I know Kadia went in and Julie Mango, she's sweet like my favorite type of mango that, you know, so it just follows that, you know, I would love Julie Mango. All right, guys, so you've been waiting on this for a while. It's our trivia answer. Which company invented the first mobile EKG heart rate monitor, and what was it used for? I have my contestants, and I'm gonna pull one sheet of paper. Oh, in 1977, a Finnish professor from the University of Oulu, and I can't say the word, Seppo, and won't try that, invented the first battery-operated fingertip heart rate monitor as a training aid for the Finnish national cross-country ski team. He went on to found Polar Electro. But that wasn't the company's only first. In 1978, the company introduced a wearable heart rate monitor to the market. And in 1984, a heart rate monitor with an integrated computer interface, which gave athletes the ability to view and analyze their training data on a computer for the first time. So everybody who have a Fitbit, everybody who have any of those wearable exercise gear or technology, you have people like Professor Seppo and others to thank. Now we have our winner who comes from Instagram. Are you ready? It is Odane Houghton. Your at is Odane Houghton. You are our winner of this week. To claim your prize, you must DM us your contact information so we can make arrangements for you to get your prize. If you don't, you forfeit your prize. so you have, you're giving them 48 hours, Kenya?
48 hours.
All right. We'll give you 48 hours to send us a DM. You are on Instagram. So you're at Odane Houghton. Get in touch with us and we will make arrangements for you to get your prize. And we want to say thank you to Gift to Me for sponsoring this week's prize of a $5,000 gift voucher. Yes. Hey,
and that can be redeemed at any one of 40 plus locations.
I'm saying, listen, the bad man is real.
Fancy place like Face Place and
Adam and Eve. Listen, me stuck on the Adam and Eve, you know. Me stuck on the Adam and Eve.
Seller 8 with a pasta. Oh my God. So it's a really nice prize, and we thank Give Me for it. Guys, that's all we have time for this week. We appreciate you sticking with us for the entire time, but we could not have cut that conversation with Douglas, Dr. Boyd, and Ingrid because, you know,
it was just so good.
It was just so good. A lot of information, a lot of, you know, insights, a lot of thoughts on psychedelic mushrooms and tech. And of course, we thank Karen Rose for jumping on to talk about the death of Clubhouse and how other spaces like Twitter Spaces and Spotify Green
have kind of taken over.
Facebook is taking over the audio chat platform and doing it better. So Clubhouse was a great idea, poorly executed. And that's a lesson for us all. Thank you so much for staying with us this week, and we will see you next week for another Digital Jamaica live show.
Guys, make sure that you're following us on Digital Jamaica to make sure you get all of your updates. And over on Digital Disruption Agency, we have some things in the pipeline that we are working hard to prepare for you. You've heard about our pop-up talk shop that is coming up. You've heard about the other events. Yeah, the other events too that we're having coming up. So make sure that you're connecting.
We are on Twitter at Digital Jamaican, on Instagram at digital.jamaica. We're on Facebook as Digital Jamaica, and we're on LinkedIn as Digital Jamaica. So make sure you're following us and sign up for our newsletter, because we have a lot of giveaways and discounts
updates and things to share with you guys.
To share with our members on our subscription list. So make sure that you sign up for the newsletter. And bye guys.